Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 499. 499. Sunday, July the 22nd, 2018. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, well, I've been pretty angry the last couple days. I feel a little less angry today, so maybe I can get through this video without so many F-bombs. We'll give it a shot and see how we do. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I was, in fact, multiple times over the past probably a couple months, I've been saying how I never believed that that they ever looked at the Weiner laptop. I mean, not the people at the FBI lab in Quantico or other people, but I mean when we were told that the laptop was transferred to Main Justice, where you had Peter's been stroking us and his crew, and then of course they get the laptop, and then they have it for a couple days, and then Comey, of course, looking at the calendar, realizes that the election is 2 days away, and so on November the 6th, just 3 days after his team there at Main Justice gets a hold of that laptop, he comes out and clears Hillary Clinton for the second time, because in 2 days is going to be the vote, and he knows he has to clear her. And I've suggested, as many other people have, that there's no way that they could have looked at all those emails. And now, because of some really good work done by Last Refuge over at the Conservative Treehouse, he finds the exact places in the IG report, and I think that we've gone through this before, but I think this is a little clearer the way it's laid out here, where, in fact, Inspector General Huckleberry Horowitz states this exactly in his IG report. He tells us this is exactly what happened. So I want to go through these steps as are laid out here by the Last Refuge, and because I think it makes it perfectly clear that this point that I've made, other people have made, tells me that not only did they not get to look at all the emails, or that they may have only looked at some of the emails, I am contending, as I have weeks and weeks ago, that they did not look at anything once that computer was transferred from the Southern District of New York or from Quantico over to the Main Department of Justice, FBI, in D.C. And here is the case that's made. So let's go through this. It's not that hard to follow, really. Okay. So Peter's been stroking us. His testimony about the Weiner laptop does not jive with what the FBI told Huckleberry Horowitz, the Inspector General. Horowitz never resolves it, just as he never resolved anything in the IG report. He really didn't do an investigation. What he did was like a pre-investigation. And whenever he got lied to or got information, things that didn't add up, he said, okay, well, that's what they told me. That's what they told me. I'll put it in the report. It's up for someone else to figure out what happened. So he really wasn't trying to figure out to get to the bottom of anything or get the truth. He was just out there interviewing people, getting their statements, getting their information, looking at what he had, and then taking what he had, comparing it to what people said, and then saying, okay, here it is. Here's what I found. Here's what they said. You figure it out. So there really wasn't an investigation done by Horowitz. It was more of a pre-investigation. It was more of the interview part. It was like the interview part of an investigation. It was not an investigation, and this explanation here will bear this out. So the laptop, we're talking about the Weiner laptop, was seized from Anthony's Weiner and was taken directly to the OTD, the Operational Technology Division of the FBI at Quantico, Virginia. So they get the warrant to get Anthony's Weiner's laptop. They get it and they take it directly to the OTD, the Operational Technology Division of the FBI at Quantico, Virginia. Okay, so once it makes it there, the technician there looks at it and he finds that there are 1,355,980 electronic files. There are 350,000 emails. There are 344,000 BlackBerry communications. Now, the FBI determined that Huma Abedin forwarded classified emails to Weiner. There were 6,827 emails, either to or from Hillary Clinton, and it was assessed that 3,077 were work-related. 3,077 were work-related of the 6,827 that were either to or from Clinton. This is what they're finding as they're looking at the laptop there at Quantico. So the FBI at Quantico analyzed the laptop, and they noted that, quote, this is their words right out of the IG report, quote, because metadata was largely absent, the emails could not be completely automatically deduplicated or evaluated against prior emails recovered during their investigation, and therefore the FBI could not determine how many of the potentially work-related emails were duplicative of emails previously obtained. Okay, so they're in this process. What they're doing is they're deduplicating. They're saying, okay, well, we got roughly over 700,000 emails here, but we've probably seen a lot of these before. So they're trying to do a deduplication process whereby they can run this program and it will take all the ones that they've seen before and it will kick them out, leaving only the ones that they have not seen, so that it makes the job possible. Otherwise, they have to sit there and go through 700,000 emails, which they're not going to do. Okay? So, what they're telling us here is that the FBI technician at Quantico said because of the corruption or of metadata, or the lack of metadata, missing metadata, they could not do the deduplication process. But Peters Ben Strokanus said that the ODT was able to do some amazing things to rapidly deduplicate the emails on the laptop. So here we have a difference of opinion. Clearly, it's in the IG report. We have Quantico, Virginia technician saying we couldn't do the deduplication because of corrupted metadata or missing metadata. But here we have Peters Ben Strokanus telling the IG that they were able to do some amazing things to deduplicate the emails, which is what he had to say, because he knows that they could never make the argument that in the 3 days that he and the other two people on his team at Maine FBI, Maine Justice, could have looked at 700,000 emails. So Strzok is saying that amazing wizardry was used to deduplicate the emails. But FBI forensics says they were not able to deduplicate the emails because the metadata was not consistent. Now, the New York case agent and the forensics technician agree, and both told Horowitz that because they could not deduplicate, the extraction was unsuccessful. Both the New York case agent and the forensics technician at Quantico contradict the statement of Peters Ben Strokanus. Now, according to Peters Ben Strokanus, there were only 3 people on the midyear exam, the midyear exam being the investigation into the rotten Reverend Clinton, which was not an investigation at all, that there were only 3 people on the midyear exam team that were undertaking the email review. 3 people is all. So when that laptop came to Maine Justice, Maine FBI from Quantico, it found its way in the hands of these 3 people: Strzok, Tash Gauhar, and Sally Moyer. Peters Ben Strokanus said the midyear team flagged all potentially work-related emails and compared those to emails that had already reviewed for evidentiary value. So this is the crew that created the wizardry that the FBI Director Comey said allowed him to tell Congress with confidence that 1,355,980 electronic files consisting of 350,000 emails, 344,000 BlackBerry communications were reviewed between October 30th, 2016 and November 6th, 2016. 3 people: Peters Ben Strokanus, Tash Gauhar, and Sally Moyer. Sure, they did what the forensic technician and the case main guy handling the case in the Southern District of New York, they did what these guys could not do. That's what Peters Ben Strokanus and James Comey was telling us. So, we have 3 people in the mid-year exam granted authority to physically do the Clinton email review. Peter's been stroking us, Sally Moyer, and Trish Gayhauer. Peter's been stroking us says that they were able to go through all those emails due to some amazing things that allowed them to rapidly deduplicate the emails, despite the fact that the New York case agent and the certified digital extraction technician at Quantico, Virginia, as well as the entire FBI forensics team in Quantico, say it was impossible to deduplicate the emails. Someone is lying. And I think we know who that is. As I said, there is no way, even if they could have deduplicated, still, those 3 people getting to, and they're not technicians, they're political appointees and lawyers. Moyer and Gayhauer, they're lawyers. They're not IT technicians. Certainly not the type of technicians you would have to be to do that kind of an operation. And in fact, they don't even have the programs. They're running programs at Quantico, Virginia that allow them to do the deduplication. They don't have those programs. I'm pretty sure Peter's been stroking us, and the 2 lawyers there on that team did not have the software and certainly probably not the knowledge of even how to do it. But they're telling us that that's what happened. But even if they could have deduplicated and gotten it down to the 6,700 number, it still would have been very difficult to go through 6,700 emails for these 3 people and then to evaluate them to find their evidentiary value. Even that would have been difficult. But we know from what the evidence technician, the forensics people at Quantico, and the case agent all told Inspector General Huckleberry Horowitz it couldn't be done, that it was impossible. Yet somehow, Peter's been stroking us and his 2 lawyers, Hillary supporters obviously, were able to do the impossible. And they did it in what, 4 or 5 days? And then Comey came out and made the statement exonerating the right Reverend Clinton, telling us that through the wizardry of their technical people, they were able to do it, when in fact their technical people disagree. They say we weren't able to do it, so we just sent it on to you. And then we're told that Peter's been stroking us and his 2 Hillary-loving lawyers were able to figure all this out and deduplicate and get all this information, sift through it, investigate it, and come to that conclusion. You see, it didn't happen. It's a lie. Maybe that's why Nunes suggested to Goodlatte and Gowdy that they subpoena Gayhauer and Mary, what's her name, the 2 lawyers, so that they can explain the wizardry that they used. And unfortunately, no one hit Peter's been stroking us on this and many other things. That's why I wish I were on that committee. There were many questions that he should have been asked that he wasn't asked. There was a lot of political theater. They played around a lot with these texts. They spent way too much time trying to get Peter's been stroking us to read his own text so that they could have a public spectacle. Yes, that generates sound bites. Yes, it generates some enthusiasm, some excitement. Yes, it's good theater, but it didn't get to the nut. Had I been there, I told you the questions I would have asked. I would never have mentioned all his tweets. I already know about his tweets. Everybody's read his tweets. We know he's going to deny what he actually meant. Why would I sit there and go through that fiasco when I got 5 minutes? If I got 5 minutes, this is the question I ask him. How the hell, Peter's been stroking us, did you and 2 lawyers do what your lab at Quantico, Virginia, and your technicians at Quantico, Virginia say could not have been done? How'd you do it? That laptop has never been looked at. Those rotten Reverend Clinton emails on that Weiner laptop, they've never been looked at. They didn't even fire that damn computer up. They got that computer, they threw it over in a box and said, yeah, we know what we're going to do with that. They never looked at it. They were freaking out. They were worried about a lot of other things that they had to worry about. And it wasn't Weiner's laptop. And they had no interest whatsoever in seeing any of the Rotten Reverend Clinton's work-related emails. It wouldn't have mattered what they saw on that computer. They weren't going to move on the Rotten Reverend Clinton. And Comey came out and said this in a public statement when he exonerated the Rotten Reverend Clinton. That's a big, fat lie. And it's obstruction of an investigation. It's misleading the Congress. It's a flat-out just perjury. These are the questions that they should have drilled down on with Peter's been stroking us, instead of playing that silly political theater, which got them nothing. I would have nailed his balls to the wall if I'd have been there. Guarantee it. President Trump says Cohen's taping of private phone calls is inconceivable, and that's true. Possibly illegal. Possibly that's true as well. And my question from day one was, what about attorney-client privilege? What, the Rotten Reverend Clinton, oh, she had all kinds of attorney-client privilege. But with Trump, oh, he doesn't get attorney-client privilege. You know, in the attorney-client privilege relationship, the benefit is not to the attorney. It's not for the benefit of the attorney. The attorney-client privilege is for the benefit of the client, not the attorney. So whatever they got against Cohen, whatever they wanted to get on Cohen, whatever they needed or thought about Cohen, they should not have been able to get private communications between him and his client, because they infringe on the client. Your issues with the lawyer are one thing, but when you dig into the lawyer and you start getting information that violates the lawyer-client relationship, that's a whole other thing. Now you're infringing on the client. And I've been asking that question since day one. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't tell you the legal reason. I can't give you a legal reason. That's why I'm asking. How is it possible? It seems to me that Trump's attorney-client privilege was violated. And yes, for a lawyer to be recording his conversation with his client is not something I would think most lawyers do. But apparently this is a habit that Cohen had. And it may be illegal. Either way, it's all bad. And it's wrong. There's something bad wrong going on here. I mean, when you look at the way the Rotten Reverend Clinton and others of her ilk have been given total free passes, totally honor her attorney-client privileges, even allow her attorney, who was possibly a suspect, to sit in her interview where she wasn't under oath, where nothing was written down, nothing was recorded. She had 5 lawyers with her. What does Trump get? With Michael Flynn, did he get to have 5 lawyers? They didn't even tell him it was an interview for a legal issue. They trapped him. Ambushed him. And here they go to Trump and they violate his attorney-client privilege. No problem. Uncle Bob, Rodenstein, and Jeff Sessions. No problem. This is good. There was an Arizona Democrat named Ann Kirkpatrick. She was in a, I guess like a primary Q&A with 4 other people running for this Democratic seat. The moderator asked, how many of you support ICE? She was the only one that raised her hand. The other 4 did not. She was then booed and heckled for the remainder of the event. And so I'm watching this, and this is coming on the heels of hearing about Chris Dodd, who's an old former Democrat heavyweight that was in the Congress for years. You got Joe Lieberman, former senator, Democratic senator, who was in the Congress for years. You're starting to see a pushback from these kind of centrist old party Democrats pushing back and saying, hey, Democratic Party, if you let these so-called Democratic Socialist or Socialist take over the party, we're going to get spanked. It's going to destroy the party. You better wake up and stop it. Now, I don't know where Miss Kirkpatrick stands, but obviously she was probably thought she was making the same decision by being the only person to hold up her hand saying, yeah, I support ICE. I mean, I guess we need ICE to do the job they do. But these other four didn't. And she got booed and heckled badly. So she's going to lose that primary, okay? But that's what that tells you. She is going to lose that primary, and probably the most far left-leaning of the remaining four, the most socialist among them, and the most communist among them, will likely win that seat, which is what we are seeing all throughout these primaries, and not just in these districts that are hardcore leftist districts. We are seeing this. We saw it happen in Missouri. We saw it happen in Wisconsin. We've seen it happen even in... I think it was a southern state. There's been 3 or 4, places where you have more rank and file, normal, centrist type Democrats have gotten defeated by far left commie Democrats in places where in the general election they're just going to get stomped. Which just shows you, as I've been saying for weeks now, and as other Democrats, sort of old school or centrist Democrats are coming out and saying exactly what I'm saying, that the Democrats are going to get curb stomped if they let their party be taken over by the socialists, the Democratic Socialists, or commies, whatever you want to call them. And apparently the National Democratic Party has made their decision. That's the direction they're going to go. I guess they believe that they can make up for all the centrist Democrats or old school Democrats who are going to walk away from the Democratic Party. I guess they feel they can make up with them by bringing in a lot more young millennials and socialists and communists and various other types of left-wing nuts. So I guess that they've waited out and they feel the numbers favor them to go hard left. I don't think that that's going to happen, and I think in the general election, I think they're going to get curb stomped. So here's what I'm thinking as I'm watching this, and I'm seeing all these sort of centrist Democrats, kind of old school Democrats, getting hammered and blown out by these far left-wing socialist type Democrats. I'm thinking it's just a matter of time before we are going to see a walk-away campaign that will be Democratic politicians. Democratic politicians, not just rank-and-file Democrats who are saying, I can't take this anymore, I got to go, I got to walk away. I'm wondering when the next part of the walk-away movement becomes former Democratic politicians walking away. That is going to be really entertaining, and I'll tell you, we're going to get there, and we're all going to have a good laugh when we do. You heard it here first. There is going to be Democratic politicians who are going to join the walkaway movement or start their own politicians' walkaway movement, and we're all going to laugh hard. Bernie Sanders, the commie from Vermont, was campaigning with Ocasio-Cortez. And he said that formerly radical Democratic ideas are now considered mainstream, which just backs up the point I just made. It's funny that just a few years ago, Bernie was so far left as a Democratic Socialist or Communist, is what he really is, that the party at that time said, oh God, we got to stop Bernie. We got to do anything we can to stop Bernie, including cheat him if we have to. And they did, to stop him, which they did, including the rotten Reverend Clinton and a whole bunch of other Democrats. Bernie's too far left. We can't have the party go that far left. We'll never win elections again. Now, all of a sudden, they've completely flipped, and they think that old Bernie was right on. Now they believe that, yes, the Democratic Socialism or Communism, whatever you want to call it, is now mainstream. They believe this. They live in an echo chamber. But I'm telling you what, this just isn't true. And when the general election comes around, they are going to get curb stomped. This is a temporary, fleeting moment for the Democratic Party. They're going to experience about a 2 to 4 year period of this. They'll have it'll all end up in a big, gigantic fight for the heart and soul of the party. And if the far left-wing commie part of it wins, that will be the end of the Democratic Party as we know it. And that's what's coming, because they're eventually going to come to blows. These two groups could not exist in the party together. And eventually, it is going to come to blows, and it could happen in this election cycle. If it doesn't, it will definitely happen in the 2020 election cycle. Because at some point, the rubber has to hit the road. At some point, the centrist type old school Democrats have to look and say, we just can't have this. We just can't have this communist, democratic, socialist, whatever you want to call it, this extreme left. We can't have this and have this party survive. And those far lefties are going to say, oh, we're taking over the party. See ya. And there's going to be a battle for the heart and soul of the Democratic Party. It's coming. You can see it right now. It'll either unfold this fall or in the 2020 midterms. And either way, it's going to rip this party completely apart. Could end this party. Trump says that Cohen's taping of private phone calls... Oh, I already told you that, didn't I? Yeah, we've already covered that. Okay, moving on. Oh, yes. Okay, have any of you ever heard of a group called TEDx? I've never heard of TEDx. I don't know what the hell TEDx is. But whatever TEDx is, there was someone speaking for TEDx, I guess an organization, and this was in Germany, I believe. Yes, Würzburg. I had a couple beers in Würzburg. Can't remember much about Würzburg, small town. We got off the train. We walked down the street. We went to a guest house. Had a couple schnitzels, a few beers, got back on the train and kept going. That's all I know about Würzburg. Can't remember. It's all fuzzy to me now. But this speaker said the following, that pedophilia is an unchangeable sexual orientation, just like heterosexuality. This person, Mirjam Hines, stated this, and she said, as long as they don't act, their attraction to children should be accepted and tolerated as involuntary feelings. We shouldn't increase the suffering of pedophiles by excluding them, blaming them, and mocking them. Woo! You see, folks, I wasn't lying to you. I told you a couple of videos ago that you just give these people enough time and they'll be pushing for abortion within 24, 48, 72 hours after the child is born. And you probably thought, nah, see, he's just being silly now. Mike's just being crazy. Yeah, it's probably pushing it too far. No, they're not going to go for something as crazy as abortion 2 to 3 days after the child's born. They're not quite that far gone. Oh, yes, they are. Let me read that to you again. We shouldn't increase the sufferings of pedophiles by excluding them, blaming them, and mocking them. They're not, my friends, with statements like that, they are not far from post-birth abortion. Believe me, post-birth abortion is in the cards for these left-wing whack jobs. These people are nuts. Nuts. We're talking about pedophiles. Pedophiles is what we're talking about. These are sick people and need to be hospitalized or jailed or both or something. You cannot have these people on the streets. Children cannot defend themselves. They are extremely vulnerable. And pedophiles are extremely aggressive. And this was in Germany, but I'm sure that this individual and individuals like this, I mean, you hear these same types of speeches given here in the left-wing enclaves in the United States. The fact that this happened in Germany, it could have easily happened in your neighborhood. Wouldn't happen in mine, probably. No, not where I live. I live in one of the reddest counties in the entire country. So no, it wouldn't go over here. This person will get lynched in my county. So I guess you've heard the news. Kimberly Guilfoyle has been fired from Fox, and a lot of people believe it's because she's dating Don Jr. Does anybody care? No. I thought Don Jr. could do better than Kimberly Guilfoyle, but if he likes her, I guess he likes her. What can I say? Nunes says the Department of Justice and the FBI are helping the Dems to win the midterms. No kidding. No kidding, Devin. Well done. Well done. I hope you'll read that letter I sent you about the 6th Agency Task Force, Devin. I've contacted your office twice. I've sent you a letter. Maybe you know about it and you're just not talking about it, but I certainly hope you will. But I'm glad you stumbled onto the fact that the DOJ and the FBI are helping the Dems to win the midterms. Very well done. Daryl Issa says that the Mueller indictment of the 12 Russian intel officers was a PR stunt to make the public think there is a there there. When there is no there there. Exactly right. Daryl Issa is exactly right. It's exactly what I said, and I think the same is going to be found to be true about this young Russian girl, Maria Butina. I think we're going to find that this was nothing more than a political stunt. I mean, when you look at that girl, she looks like she's like 14 or something. Far too... It just... I mean, these are not... I mean... Russian intel people... I mean, these are some fairly sophisticated, intelligent, experienced people. You do not get to the field level position to engage in the type of things that she was doing when you're such a young, inexperienced person like that. And the way that she was carrying on was even if she were actually a spy or something like that, she was very, very bad one because she was very obvious, very public and things. There's just no way. She wasn't a professional spy for the Russian government. I think she was just a young girl who's maybe interested, involved in politics, and was just wanting to get involved in the whole thing, and probably has affiliations, likes the right philosophy, the philosophy of the right, and she likes to share that with people in Russia who may have a similar philosophy, people who like that sort of thing. And I think that's all there is really going on here. Again, because they're not accusing her of stealing state secrets, trying to get information that would be classified information or anything like that. That's not in any of the indictments. It's about her political activities and how Uncle Bob can prove that her political activities were somehow criminal. That could be a stretch. And I agree, Daryl Issa is right about the 12 Russian intel officers, and I'm sure it's the same as true. His entire operation, his entire witch hunt is just, it's a farce. And it's got one target only, and that's Trump. And its, of course, main priority is to protect the crimes of his friends. He's just got to indict somebody or something to keep it going. Now, we, of course, heard that Whoopi Goldberg had yelled and screamed at Judge Jeanine and thrown her out of the building. But it appears now Judge Janine's claiming that Whoopi spit on her. Now, I don't know if she means she actually, purposely spit on her, or if she was spitting because she was talking so close to her face. I'm not sure what the issue is, but I think we should check our resident expert on the subject, Dave Warner. Are you out there, Dave? Are you watching this video? If you are, Dave, is spitting on someone is that assault? I believe it is. I believe it is. Does it have to be on purpose? If it's not on purpose, then it may not be assault. Okay, well, it is just about over. My girlfriend is now pounding on the damn door, so I got to go open the door. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with episode 500. See ya. Bye.